We can start now.
Stratis.
I know, everyone says Stratus.
Tell them by the right name.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn.
Wow. Wow. Nice. Welcome to tonight's meeting. Roll call, please. Oh, wait. I jumped a little forward. Hold on. We'll call it to order at 6:30. Closed session report.
Yes, Mayor. In closed session, the City of Simi Valley City Council authorized the City Attorney's Office to initiate a lawsuit to attempt to recover property damage incurred by it against Elizabeth Sprague and et al. By a vote of 5-0. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, and we have our Pledge of Allegiance, and Chief, would you do the honors?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, roll call, please.
Councilmember Luevanos.
Here.
Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Here.
Councilmember Judge.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Litster.
Here.
Mayor Mashburn.
Here. Okay. Next up, agenda review. Any items? No items?
I move that all resolutions and ordinances presented tonight be read in title only and all further reading be waived.
Second.
Motion, call for the vote.
I thought about that.
The motion passes unanimously.
Declaration of conflict. If any member of the city council may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration of any matter on this agenda, he or she should so declare at this time. Oh, okay, moving forward.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, since there are no items under appointments, special presentations, or informational reports, there are no public statements for item 2. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the first item on the agenda is item 4, public statements. We don't have any public statements for item 4 this evening.
Okay, we'll keep right on moving. That's gonna go fast.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and the next item on the agenda is item 5, public hearings. This is a time for testimony on public hearings on the consideration of matters as presented on this agenda. Let the record show that due notice was given as required by law, and an affidavit to this effect is on file in the office of the City Clerk. All comments submitted by email have already been provided to the City Council and will be made part of the record. However, they will not be read by the City Clerk this evening. Speakers will be called on in the order in which a card was submitted for this public testimony item 5 for a period of no more than 5 minutes each. Persons addressing the City Council are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Comments shall be limited to matters relevant to the item on the agenda and may be ruled out of order if comments are unrelated to the item. The reports of city staff relating to these matters shall be made part of the record of this meeting. If you challenge in court any of the City Council decisions made here tonight, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing. The time within which judicial review must be sought is governed by California Code of Civil Procedure, Section 1094.6. Agenda item 5A, a public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 1346 to consider amendments to the Simi Valley Municipal Code, Title 8, Building Regulations, and adoption of the 2022 California Building Code Standards by reference, and a determination that the project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. The reading of the ordinance is as follows. Ordinance number 1346, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley amending Title 8 of the Simi Valley Municipal Code, adopting by reference, together with amendments thereto, the codes that comprise Title 24 of the California Code of Regulations, and specifically the Code 2022 edition of the California Building Code, the 2022 edition of the California Residential Code, the 2022 edition of the California Electrical Code, the 2022 edition of the California Mechanical Code, the 2022 edition of the California Plumbing Code, the 2022 edition of the California Energy Code, the 2022 edition of the California Green Building Standards Code, the 2022 edition of the California Historical Building Code, the 2022 edition of the California Existing Building Code, the 2022 edition of the California Reference Standards Code, the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code, security standards for buildings as mandated by California Health and Safety Code Section 18938, and repealing ordinance number 1301 in its entirety. And Ted Drago is here to present this item.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Good to be with you tonight. On November 14th, the City Council introduced Ordinance 1346 for first reading and scheduled a second reading and public hearing for tonight's meeting. The California Government Code does require that second readings require to be a public hearing when an ordinance adopts secondary codes by reference specifically. Proposed Ordinance 1346 will adopt the 2022 California Building Standards Codes and the International Property Maintenance Code by reference, and readopts all the city's existing administrative requirements for seismic safety and building security standards. The building code adoption is a process that occurs every 3 years. At the conclusion of the public hearing, staff recommends the City Council adopt Ordinance 1346, amending Title 8 of the Simi Valley Municipal Code. This concludes staff's presentation. Do you have any questions?
Any questions of staff? Questions of staff? Any motions?
May I make a motion, Mr. Mayor? Oh,
Wait, public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, we have no public testimony for this item.
Okay, does anybody in the chambers wish to speak on this issue? You do? No? Okay. Okay, let's move forward.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 1346, amending Title 8 of the Simi Valley Municipal Code.
Second.
Motion and second, call for the vote. Good job, Ted.
The motion passes unanimously. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is item 7, the consent calendar, and there are 3 resolutions for your consideration this evening. Consent item 4, resolution number 2022-64, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley authorizing the execution of the recipient certifications and assurances for the California Department of Transportation State of Good Repair Program funded by Senate Bill 1, SB 1 for fiscal year 2022-23. Consent item 5, resolution number 2022-65, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley authorizing the execution and filing of a claim with the Ventura County Transportation Commission for allocation of Transportation Development Act funds for fiscal year 2022-23. And consent item 6, resolution number 2022-66, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley confirming the existence of a local emergency and authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the legislative bodies of the City of Simi Valley pursuant to Brown Act provisions.
Okay, anybody want to pull anything, 1 through 6?
Mayor, I just have a quick question on consent item number 4.
Okay, let's go ahead and go with
I
it.
also have questions on 2 and 3.
So 2, 3, and 4. And we'll start with Councilmember Luevanos on 4, right?
We're going backwards, okay.
That's fine.
Was it 4? Or I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's 4. Yeah, I
She's
just have a
expecting numerical, but 4 works.
Yeah, that's fine. I just have a quick question. I saw that the funds are going to be used, and I know it's $94,000. I know it's not a terribly large amount of money, but I see that a lot of this is going to be used to improve the bus route, the bus stop. It says bus stop improvements, replace existing amenities, and I know there's been a lot of requests for because we have metal benches there, and it gets hot in the summertime, and people have said, I'm burning my I'm trying to sit on the metal. So are we going to provide shade, or is that a consideration that we can keep in mind when we improve those bus shelters?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking at shade and we're looking at lighting primarily.
And if I could ask a question about that as well, because I literally had a conversation with a constituent yesterday about this. Not every one of our stops has a place to sit. And I know that you specifically talked about lighting. I'm hearing a discussion about shading, but I think that I would strongly encourage that we find at least a place to sit, a bench of any kind, at all the stops.
As long as we can accommodate ADA accessibility, then we will. So that's the only issue that's out there. But we have our
So you're
transit administrator in the back room, and he's listening to this discussion.
okay, so you're saying that if it's just like the bus stop near my house, which is just on the side of the road, and there's just a sign, because there's not a ramp there, or it's not a cutout.
Not
You're telling
necessarily-
me, I mean, how, I mean,
the width of the sidewalk has to be able to accommodate ADA accessibility as well as a bench at that same location. So it's contingent upon generally the width of the sidewalk.
does the bench have to be in the sidewalk? It can't be just in the green?
It can be on whatever
Grass.
we own, unless we can get an easement from the homeowner or the property owner where that is. Which is what we did when we created the new bus stops over on Erringer near Royal, is we had to go out and acquire land in order to put the new shelters there. So
Okay.
if we have room, we can certainly put a bench there.
Well,
If we don't
yeah.
have room, then we'd have to talk to the property owner adjacent to it to ask them if we can extend into their property to put a bench there.
Okay, I would love that to be part of the consideration, that there might be some place, even if it's a stump or something, so someone can rest in some way.
Sure. We'll take a look at all those locations. Yep.
Build the stump.
And
We'll build the stump.
and my request is just, if it's going to be metal bench, that there be shade, because it does get really hot in the summertime, and with climate change, it's just going to get hotter. And then my other request is, I'm sorry, I have one more question, Mayor, if I may.
Oh, on 4?
Yes,
Okay.
just one more. I see that these are all for bus stop improvements in their specific areas, but we have changed bus routes in the past. So are we going to make sure that, these bus stop improvements are where the buses will actually be stopping if we change bus routes in the future? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have a question on 4. I think we'll see if the attorney agrees. Do these funds do anything to help us with what we know is already a problem out in front of City Hall? The bus stop where the buses seem to rest, they recess whatever they have to do there. And that is continuing to be a traffic hazard and will continue to grow as a traffic hazard. And I'm sure sooner or later, we're gonna have an accident.
Yeah, these are not sufficient funds to do that, but Transit and Public Works is looking at that, improvements at that location in order to pull the buses off the street as well as to enhance accessibility at that location. But that's probably $1 million project.
So what do we do in the meantime?
We're doing what we're doing now.
We let a hazard exist.
We should probably agenda that for a future discussion.
I would, but I'm not here.
Well, I can tell you we are looking at that.
Okay, I appeal to my fellow council members to get the ball rolling on the, out front, the buses recess there, I'll call it that. I know they have to meet, time sync something. And it's difficult to pull out, and it's for not only us who work here, but those that have business here. So it's time to do something about it.
Yep.
So anyway, keep that on your radar.
Got it.
Okay. So item 3.
Item 3, you're working backwards. I like this. Okay. I have no problem with accepting this money, this grant for rubberized asphalt, concrete pavement, et cetera. And I understand it's going into the transportation fund, et cetera, roads, street and roads improvement. But I guess my question is, how exactly is rubberized asphalt concrete used with our roads and streets? I know how it's used under playground equipment. I just want to understand why it is there and how it is going to be used.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ron, it's not pieces of rubber, it's the melted rubber. It's melted tires. It's blended in with the asphalt material.
Okay, so it's not really rubberized. It is truly road construction material, not soft, bouncy playground material.
Yeah, Brian's correct. It's blended with the existing, or the normal asphalt that we have, and then laid out on the road just like a normal overlay project. One of the benefits is a little quieter, a little smoother, and of course, they have the grant program in which we can get reimbursed for asphalt that we use.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that understanding.
Okay, so does that answer 3?
That does 3 for me.
Okay, 2.
2, okay, so I understand that we're receiving, basically this is looking at our traffic impact and new dwelling fees that we assess, new development that's coming in those 2 items. And as I understand the report, basically we have about 1.85 million in the traffic impact. We have about 1.65 million in the new dwelling fees. And I have no problem with understanding that new dwelling fees might help support police, which the report showed. But I guess besides police and traffic lights, can those funds, or how else can those funds be used? For instance, can traffic be used for like striping for bicycles, filling potholes, road repair, et cetera? Is that, and for new dwelling, for instance, can we use that for like rainwater retention basins or something? I guess I'm trying to understand if we have over $1.5 million sitting here for something
Right.
in both funds.
Right. The answer is maybe. Because it has to be, there has to be a nexus between new development and the use of the funds. So if we could create a nexus for water detention, probably not. It probably would not, because they're intended for road and traffic purposes. So it's only related to that.
I thought, well, wait, hold on, I'm sorry. I understand that might be the case for the traffic impact, but the new dwelling fees, isn't it for any kind of impact that dwelling provides? So obviously, that's why police is appropriate, because there are potentially more hazards with more people.
Right.
But certainly there's more need for water with more people. So I'm missing why, if it can't support police, why can't it be used? If it can support police, why can't it be used to collect more water?
Because I believe the legislation allows for police services, because it's an additional tax on, not a tax, but a burden upon the police services, because you're increasing the population.
But it's an additional burden on our water supply because we are increasing the usage of the water.
But it's not a community use. Those are individual uses. I realize it's a fine line, but
This is a
I'm
really
writing-
slim line.
Yeah, I'm not writing the legislation.
So you're telling me it's
So-
legislative what specifically those
Yeah, I mean,
fees can be used for?
Yes, it does. And I mean, more than happy to provide to the council information on specific, what this law specifically allows new dwelling fees to be used for.
I personally would like to see that, just
more than happy to provide that
knowing
to you.
what funds are there and knowing what the need is in our community. So, thank you.
I'm more than happy to provide that.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question on this one too, if I may.
Yes.
The question is, with regard to traffic, could this be used for like scramble crosswalks? Or, we have a lot of higher density developments that are coming, and people in apartments tend to have fewer cars. They tend to drive more, or they tend to walk more. They tend to use bikes and skateboards and things like that. They don't tend to have as many cars as people in single-family dwelling units. So with regard to pedestrian walkways and making sure that that's safe, Could this be, because that impacts traffic as well. How do we keep pedestrians safe? Can this money be used for that, for to make pedestrian walkways safer? Including things like scramble crosswalks.
Typically, these funds are used strictly for a specific traffic improvement project. There was a study done, I don't remember the name of this, traffic impact, whatever. But what the study did is examined several of the major intersections throughout the city, whether they were operating appropriately, if they needed improvements, what improvements would be needed and how much. And basically, this traffic impact fee that's collected by new development is used for those specific improvements. In terms of other improvements, such as you're mentioning, I'm not sure. We'd really have to double check the language in the regulation.
I'm asking because we have asked for, repeatedly, we've had developers come, especially those who are building higher density developments. Are you building bike racks? Do you have stuff for skateboards? Do you have, and encouraging, people to not use their cars, to use, we talk about bus shelters and we talk about, do you have bike racks? Do you have skateboard racks? Can you walk to the Target, next door, things like that. So if we're encouraging walkability, which is a desire that we all have to help the environment, then why can't we use these developer impact fees to make sure that our residents who are, walking and biking are safe? Because that's one of my concerns. And I've brought it up before with developers. Or do we have to pass an ordinance? And I guess I would like research on, because that seems like a very strong nexus that's impacting the entire community. Because even if you don't live in that development, but now there's apartments there, like we have the apartment complex coming on Alamo, and now you're going to have all these people that are walking, to the elementary and high schools that are up the street to Valley View. It's going to have an impact on the pedestrian walkways, and those pedestrian walkways are not created, and those crosswalks for that volume of people. But it's going to impact everybody who walks that way. So that's, for me, a very clear nexus, and I would just like to know if you know or are aware or could research that.
We can research that, but in some cases and in most cases, any impacts immediately adjacent to the development, we can condition the development to implement those improvements. I believe at Alamo and Tampo, we've required what we call the ladder crosswalk, where they have the additional lines in the crosswalk so they're more visible in terms of when they're crossing, in this case, Alamo and Tampo Street. So some of those improvements we can condition on the development if it's immediately adjacent to or nearby. Some of these other improvements that the traffic impact fee is for is more general throughout the city, capacity improvements and enhancements. But again, we need to check the language of the regulation with regards to some of the other items that you mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, I have a request that consent item 6, that we vote on that separately. I'm going to be voting against it, and I don't really look to get into a big debate. It's just that I feel that any modification we do will put us in a position of at some point just having all open, and we'll be receiving comments from anywhere in the technically the world. And so I want to vote against anything that will take away those rights and keep us more focused on a localized city.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a motion to approve consent items 1 through 5?
Sure.
I'll second.
Call for the vote.
For consent items 1 through 5, the motion passes unanimously.
And Mayor, can we discuss item 6 a bit, knowing that you're going to vote as you are? I just have
Sure.
I'd like to discuss it if we could.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Did I say it okay? Do you want me to try
No, it's fine. I'm-
describe it again?
No,
Okay.
I understand your position. I want to understand a little bit better my reading of this. Are we repassing our emergency ordinance with this, or is it already in place and you're just, because I didn't understand that we were, until it was read by Lucy, I didn't understand that we were reaffirming the state of emergency.
So the legislation, AB 361, that was passed a year ago, went into effect in August of this year, and you've adopted this resolution every 30 days as the law requires you to do so.
Okay.
This allows you the ability, should COVID get worse, and we have to go into a lockdown mode where we're not having the public at the meetings. This allows for remote meetings to take place. And that's it. There's no other new rules or regulations. There's a whole different law that was passed this past legislative session, AB 2449, which governs remote meetings and the need if you invoke those remote meetings, then public statements and the public participation is allowed through a Zoom or other type of electronic format. That is not this. So there's two different legislations that may be getting confused here, but AB 361 only allows for remote meetings. It does not necessarily provide for remote access.
So when you say remote meetings, in other words, if one of us is ill, we can
You can
attend
participate
remotely.
remotely.
But this has nothing to do with public comment
That's
being
correct.
remote.
That's
Yes,
correct.
it-
And then as of February 28th, the governor is rescinding the state of emergency. And this all becomes moot at that point, although the legislator has talked about having to deal with the changes to this particular law, AB 361, given that the state of emergency is going to be lifted on February 28th. So there'll probably be some either to allow this to expire at that time, or they will modify it to address the provisions of both AB 2449 as well as the expiration of the
So
state of
if we were to
emergency.
take no action, February 20, whatever it was, the emergency drops.
It's going to drop anyway. The agenda item that you considered last month in December provided for our state of emergency, and it always has, to end as soon as the state or the county's state of emergency ends. So ours will, if the governor does in fact lift the state of emergency on February 28th of 2023, our state of emergency ends on February 28th, 2023.
But this is basically saying, okay, again, for 1 month, we revisit every month that we have a local state of emergency.
The legislation requires the legislative body to adopt this resolution on every 30-day basis.
Got it. Okay.
If I may make a comment, Mayor.
Yes?
The truth is that this is really for our benefit. The truth is that, we do have hospitalization rates going up, period, due to COVID, RSV, and the flu. We have what they're calling a triple-demic right now, specifically in California, but all over the nation it's happening. My brother had a kidney transplant, and he had to wait 3 days to be transferred to a regular hospital room because there was no room. So he was stuck in ICU for several days. So this is impacting us, and not just us, but our family members. So if we have high-risk family members, right, and, we're concerned about, COVID, or we're concerned about our colleagues, getting COVID because we have COVID, this allows local government to continue. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, and I hope that it doesn't, but in reality, we do need to make sure that we are responsible and that there is a way for local government to continue if that, scenario should happen.
I understand and I appreciate your explanation. I happen to believe that it's very much similar to that of gun control laws. They keep reaching, they keep reaching, they keep reaching, and they keep taking a chink out of the armor and go and go and go. And I want to put up a fence or blockage to at least that, and maybe come up with a different dialogue to allow us to meet. But at any rate, that's why I said fine just to put it on a different plane, because I'm going to resist any approach to give us public meetings that may extend outside our city.
Well, the reality is that whether you have meetings in person or, online, anyone can fly in from North Dakota or Kansas and come and give public comment. Is it going to cost them more money than on Zoom? Absolutely. But if they wanted to, they could. Anyone could come in person and give a comment, and they do not have to be from the city of Simi Valley. And that has happened in the past. We've had people that have come here from Apple Valley and all kinds of places. So
Yeah, and
that has happened. So whether you have meetings, and I understand your concern, and that's why I'm addressing it, that whether you have meetings in person or via Zoom, you can have, anyone is allowed to participate. That's why it's a public meeting. That's why we have the Brown Act in the state of California, which allows for that transparency and accountability for the public. I think we need to remember we are public servants. And we are here to be accessible to the public, to be accountable to the public. Whether or not we agree with what everyone in the public has to say, it doesn't matter. What we need to ensure is that there is accessibility to the local government. And that's what this allows.
Yeah, and respectfully, I think I'm leaning the other way based on, it's locally, there is a definition to it, and I want to keep it local. I don't want to have those that live in another state, say Oregon or somewhere, calling in and voicing their opinions on what we're up to. And that's my goal, is to block that.
Well, that feels like you're also blocking people who are away on conferences, college students. We already have a problem with civic engagement. I don't know if you saw the letter in the Acorn, but we already have an issue with lack of civic engagement. That's why I'm constantly applauding and thanking those who come and take the time to come and give public comment, because we have such a lack of civic engagement as it is. I wouldn't want to me personally, I don't want to do anything to discourage people from engaging, including those who are college students, including those that are business people. And because you're a business owner, sometimes you go away for a conference, but you want to call in, you want to give comment on something that's really important to you. And to the community, but you're not able to physically be there. So I don't want to exclude those people. I don't want to do that.
I appreciate your position.
And if I might make one more comment, if that's right, Mayor. Actually, I'm hearing this discussion. I am not convinced that we are still in a state of emergency. I think it's the end of February. I've had a problem with that for months. And I think that the same rules should apply to us as they should apply to those who are invited to come and give public comments. So for that reason, actually, that's why we'll also join in voting no, because I think a state of emergency should be for clear-cut, obvious need and used sparingly. And so, anyway, I just want to share that comment. For other reasons, I will be voting as I will.
Okay,
May I make a motion, Mayor? I want to make
Yes.
sure no one else has a comment first.
make a motion.
I move to approve consent item number 6.
Okay,
Second.
motion second. Call for the vote.
The motion passes with Mayor Pro Tem Litster and Mayor Mashburn voting no. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is City Council member reports.
Reports. Okay, Councilmember Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving on the 24th. I had a great one, good time. I want to thank the Rotary Club of, I think there was a couple Rotary Clubs involved, for serving our seniors Thanksgiving dinner over at the Senior Center on the night before Thanksgiving. I appreciate that greatly. You always give a great job, and I can't say enough about that. On Friday, December 2nd, I attended VCTC's meeting. Just to let you know, one of the things that was passed in consent was on there. All the stuff that we're pushing forward we pushed forward the requirements for those grants that are coming down from the federal government's money for infrastructure. and the good repair stuff. So I'm glad that was put together for our consent calendar. On December 3rd, I attended the holiday celebration up at the town center for the tree lighting. It was very nice. The tree lit, which is always a plus, and it looked good, it still looks good, and Michelle did a great job. Thank you very much to her for that, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Thursday, November 17th, we had our EDC regular full board meeting. A lot of things are happening. They gave us an overview of what we've accomplished and what's been presented, and I will have some notes at my next meeting to go over that. And I just wanted to congratulate Bruce Tinsley. He's the CEO, 15 years with the Economic Development Collaborative, and it's basically him and the staff have gotten it to where it is. So we're actually moving into Santa Barbara County too. So we're doing a great job, and Bruce has done a wonderful job on helping lead us. We will have our annual in-person meeting in January, and that should be interesting. It'll be the first time for that group to meet in person again, just like a lot of other organizations. On Monday, November 28th, we had our Animal Commissions meeting, Ventura County Animal Services. It was supposed to be the week before, but due to technical difficulties, it had to be postponed. We were able to welcome our new supervisor, Matt Levere, to the commission, and at the same time have a moment of silence for Supervisor Carmen Ramirez. And we were told about a bench that will be dedicated in her memory on the campus there. Also, at the same time, the new facilities for the shelter are going forward. We're at the point where they've selected an architecture firm, and they're working with them right now. So at one time, we were going to have to move the animal shelter because the airport wanted to expand, but they had a change in directors and a change in plan. So the Animal Services and the county have extended their lease there once again. So we're going to be rebuilding the shelter as we're using the shelter. So that's going to be a lot of work and a lot of experience, but they have a really great staff there. I'm very happy to be on that commission. Thursday, December 1st, we had a big, huge party. Everyone was so excited. It was the mayor's retirement dinner. So it was a very nice turnout for the mayor. A lot of people recognizing him and saying thank you for all of years of service to the community. So we even had people from out of town, and new Supervisor-elect Janice Parvin, and representing Moore Park also. So it was nice. It was a very good event. And then just as a reminder, this coming Saturday, the 10th, is Touch a Truck in the City Hall parking lot. Not where the buses stop, but on the other end. But Touch a Truck is always a great event. It's a free event. It's from 10 to 3. The Police Foundation, along with others, put it on. And all the community members are welcome to come, and the kids love to climb on the trucks and all the fire engines, and the school bus is very popular too, and the transit bus is popular. So along with a lot of other facilities, and trash truck is always a good one. They like the trash truck too. So that's free, 10 to 3. You can also park across the street at the big, huge parking lot and walk across to make it much easier. And it is also a toy drive. So if you like to bring a toy, they will try and fill up the crash trailer that we usually have an example of a car that's been in a crash to discourage our students from drinking and driving. But it's a good thing to try and fill that up with toys. It makes it a happy place and a happy situation. And I'll see you there. I'll be there all day. So that's it for the end of my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Luevanos.
Thank you, Mayor. We celebrate, well, we didn't celebrate Thanksgiving. We honor the Day of Mourning. National Day of Mourning has been going on for over 50 years on what is considered Thanksgiving Day in the United States of America. It is a brutal reminder of the genocide of millions of Native people, the theft of Native lands, and the relentless assault on Native culture. It is celebrated by many indigenous and Native American cultures around the country because of the brutal genocide of Native American people. So I wanted to acknowledge the Day of Mourning for Native Americans and indigenous people on that day, on Thursday, November 24th. On Thursday, December 1st, I was at the Clean Power Alliance meeting. We had a lot of stuff to cover. We accepted 3 new cities. We passed a resolution to allow these 3 new cities to join the Clean Power Alliance, and they include Hermosa Beach, Monrovia, and Santa Paula, which we're really excited. So those are 3 new cities. Hermosa Beach came in at a 100% renewal rate as default, which is wonderful. And the other 2 cities, Monrovia and Santa Paula, will decide whether or not they will come in as a 100% renewal default rate. We also approved 3 long-term renewable energy agreements. One of them is with Arlington Solar. It's located in Blythe, California, and it's a contract for 16 years. We also had to modify that contract. We've been having a lot of vendors have been having supply chain issues, and so we modified that contract, but we're still going to get 233 megawatts and 132 megawatts of storage. We also approved 2 contracts for geothermal energy, and geothermal resources are really hard to procure, but we managed to get 2 of them. One is with Geysers Geothermal. One is called the Incremental Geysers. That's a 10-year contract for 18 megawatts. And another one that's an existing geysers project that's located in Sonoma and Lake counties. And Clean Power Alliance, we do go out of our way to make sure that we try to benefit locally. So California, or at least adjacent Arizona and Nevada. And this is so that we can meet the midterm reliability for the California Public Utilities Commission for 2023-26. We need to have 679 megawatts of new reliable capacity, and geothermal is one of the ways that we do it. And not everyone can do geothermal, so it's really cool that we got 2 new contracts. We also renewed the Power Share program. The Power Share program, just so you know, is one of the things I'm most proud of for Clean Power Alliance. It is a way for those in disadvantaged communities to be able to get 100% renewable energy at a 20% discount rate. So people in low-income areas who want to help the environment by using 100% renewable energy like solar, like wind, like geothermal, but they can't afford the higher rates. If you are disadvantaged, then you can get a 20% rate. So you would pay the same as if you were not doing 100% renewable. You would pay the lower tariff rate. So we approve that. That's part of the DAC GT and the CSCT. That's called the Disadvantaged Community Green Tariff and the Community Solar program as well. And so both of those programs were approved by Clean Power Alliance, so those will continue. We approved 7 projects for that, and that meets the CPUC requirements for reimbursement. So that means the California Public Utilities Commission will reimburse us that 20% discount that we give to disadvantaged communities. So we also made an amendment to a Radian contract we have. It's a contract that we had already executed. Again, issues with rising costs and supply chain delays, which many people are having. And what else did we do? Oh, so much. We also discussed Clean Power Alliance salary grades. We've lost 4 director-level employees, and so we approved change in salary grades so that we can maintain the experience and attract and keep the employees that we need to retain. This is a very unique area of renewable energy. Not everyone is qualified or has the experience or background or education to do the jobs that we need them to do. And so we approved increased staff costs. It's only 1.2% of our total CPA revenue. And we have about 50 to 60 employees, but we always have about a 20% vacancy rate. We're always competing with the private sector for people with this kind of experience and expertise. So we approved that, knowing that we need to keep our staff, and we need to make sure that CPA keeps going. And we also approved the COVID bill relief. We're going to get $10 million reimbursed from the state of California for 55,000 customers, CPA customers, who still have not been able to catch up on their bills. COVID has continued to impact a number of people. And then we said goodbye to 10 of our board members, including myself. Although we have 2 that will be returning as supervisors, interestingly. Lindsay Horvath, who is departing in her current role, but we're hoping she returns. because she got elected to LA County Supervisor, and Janice Farvin, who is departing as the mayor of Mer Park, but we're hoping that she returns as the Ventura County Supervisor for the Clean Power Alliance. And that is my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Litster.
Thank you, Mayor. Tuesday, November 15th, I attended the Youth Council meeting, which was held at the Reagan Library, and it's a wonderful partnership, what they do for the youth in our city. And they were actually auditioning for roles in the town hall meeting that is upcoming. I also had the pleasure of addressing them and giving them information about the city and my involvement therein. Also on that evening, I attended the Free Clinic Open House event, and it was really scheduled to say thank you to all of the patrons that have made their new facility possible. And so they were very effusive about the city and the difference that we made with the 3 years of grant funds that allowed them to make that building happen. And so I just wanted to communicate that back to the council, that they were most grateful and appreciative and were expressing it there. On Thursday, November the 17th, I attended the VCOG's Administrative Committee meeting. Again, we are continuing the conversation about our role as the accessory agency to help with internet service throughout the county, and so we were scheduling events that will help inform us and make in that decision. On Tuesday, November the 22nd, I attended the Interfaith Thanksgiving event that was held at the Congregation B'nai Emet, and I spoke there on behalf of our city council and expressed to them all the things that I felt we had to be thankful for living here in Simi Valley, and there were many. Everything from wonderful schools, parks, neighbors, resources. Anyway, it was a lovely interfaith gathering with at least 10 or 11 different congregations had sent their representatives, and it was just a lovely event. And the reception was held afterwards in their preschool kindergarten area. But it was a very lovely event to celebrate, and much. And I might add that food was also collected for the Samaritan Center, and the director spoke there as well and talked about the importance that the faith community shares in feeding our homeless and those who are less fortunate. And so it was a lovely event. And Thanksgiving was wonderful with my parents in Idaho. So I will tell you that it's wonderful to gather with family. On Monday, November the 28th, I attended the Siwa ribbon cutting, and I want to commend their city staff that were there in attendance, Kelly Tinker and Heidi was there, as well as Linda Swan. Anyway, they were there making sure that their interests with our grant funds were being well represented, I think, which is lovely that they were there. I will say that model is so commendable that they are open for operation now to providing food for anyone in need. They are located very near 1st Street or 5th Street. I have it right here, don't I? I even brought my invitation with me, didn't I? I want to make sure I get the address correct. 690 East Los Angeles Avenue, Suite D. That's one way to get it right. Thank you, Brian. Right next to Stater Brothers. You're right. But what is lovely about this was Monday that we had a ribbon cutting. They are open for operation Tuesday through Saturday from about 4 to 7 o'clock in the evening. The reason those are the hours is because their staff are entirely made up of the youth. It is our youth that are serving our community members. Amar spoke a little bit about how it was created, et cetera, and I know for quite a while they operated out of a school parking lot on one day a week, but now they've gone to this model of 5 days a week. And he mentioned that there are about 120 students that volunteer their time with this project, 60 of which do so on a regular basis. In fact, I just anecdotally want to share just what I observed. We had this lovely event where the youth were the speakers. They spoke about their role and their involvement, and it was wonderful. But as we were kind of gathering afterwards, a woman walked in with a bag. And I heard an adult say to her, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're not open today. It's Monday, we're closed. Come back later." And as this adult was saying that, I saw a youth come behind with some bread and canned goods and just put it inside her bag. So this youth knew why this woman was there. and even though they weren't open for operation, was taking care of the needs of this resident. And so I just thought it shows the insight and the drive and the desire, commitment of these youth who are making a difference in our community. And so Amar's daughter Cimarron spoke. She is one of those who are very actively involved. And the students came from Oak Park. They came from Royal High School. There was Santa Susana. I'm sure those are the three that were there at the time. I'm sure there are other schools represented, but clearly it's a village of our youth making a difference in our community, and it was really wonderful. On Wednesday, November 30th, met with our Simi Valley Veterans Foundation, and they are trying to do some good things. Thursday, December 1st, thank you, Brian. I appreciated meeting with you. And it was also a delight seeing the mayor and learning and being able to celebrate his 4 years of mayorhood and how many years of sitting on the council. Is it 10 years total, Mayor?
Yeah, I think it is.
Is it 10 years? And then, anyway, a man who's committed to our community and done much. So thank you, Mayor. It was a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Friday, December 2nd, in the morning, I attended the Boys and Girls Breakfast in Moore Park. The speaker there was Jake Olson, and what is interesting about Jake Olson is that he is known as the blind football player that played for USC, and he was a long snapper. But if you can imagine, it was delightful, though, his inspiring words about basically, I'm going to paraphrase what he said, but you will be dealt circumstances, and what you do with them can make all the difference, and often it's for our good. And so you can absolutely make lemonade out of lemons. So he didn't use that phrase, but I'm paraphrasing. Saturday, December 3rd, I attended the craft fair that was held at our Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center. And I don't know how the city pulled it off, but it was rainy on the 2nd, it was rainy on the 4th, but that Saturday was beautiful weather, and they had all these outdoor vendors that were there, and it was just really a fun event. And I want to commend the Cultural Arts Center because they also were giving backstage tours of the production of Elf that is taking place. And so we were able to go back and meet with Buddy the Elf and with Santa Claus, and I have a picture to prove it with my granddaughter, who was not posing very well, but we were there. I thank you for all those that made that happen. And also, I echo what Mike has to say about the tree lighting at the town center. I was there briefly. And it was a great event, a fun community event. The one thing I want to mention that's there in the town center is, and I toured it, is the Santa's Village, or the Santa, I don't know what it's called, but it is the flagship. I guess you can go to malls and take pictures of Santa Claus, but our mall has the best. And if you want to get that out to your friends, you can go inside, and there is even the Polar Express train, life-size, inside. Anyway, just tremendous. Couple more things, then I'm done. Sunday, December 4th, I attended the Simi Valley Historical Society at the Strathern Park Holiday Open House. I commend we have a wonderful historical society, and that Strathern is such a beautiful place. And even though it was raining, it took place, rain or shine. Santa Claus was moved into the church. He was not outside. I was in the barn helping to provide music, but it was just a lovely event. So I commend our Historical Society for all that they did for the community. And then that evening was Simi Community Christmas at the Latter-day Saint Church up at Sinaloa, and I attended that. St. Rose of Lima's choir performed. Anyway, many other groups performed. It was just outstanding. And non-denominational nativity sets, displays, beautiful. Anyway, all I have to say is our community has some amazing things going on, amazing things that we've got that has happened already and going forward. And so as I go back to my comments at the Interfaith Group, we have much to be thankful for living here in Simi Valley. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I'll be quick. Thursday, November 17th, I was at the Simi Sunrise Rotary Club and recognized for being who I am, I guess. But anyway, we have 3 great Rotary clubs, and I got to visit 2 of them. On Friday, November 18th, here at City Hall, I got to give a tour to the Daisy Girl Scout troop, and give them a little eye-opening of what goes on here at City Hall, and they got to come in and sit at the dais and what have you. And I hope it was a good experience for him. I think it was. Also, on November 19th, I went to the Seventh-day Adventist Church and was recognized for my contributions and thanked for my service to the community, a church that I went to many years ago for a long period of time. Also, on Thursday, December 1st, I had thank you to the city for a farewell party, retirement party, whatever you want to call it. It was a great event. Much fun was had by all, I hope. And thank you so much for recognizing me at that party. It was a lot of fun, and so was Chili's restaurant afterward. So, and that's my report. So now we'll look at future agenda items. So does anybody have any future agenda items?
Mayor, I'd like to request for the RV issue to come back. Even if I'm not here, for the public, I
Okay.
really think we need to bring the RV issue back.
Okay,
And I've been
RV
asking for
back.
4 years.
RV back, that'll give the new council a little challenge.
I think Brian is committed to make that happen in February, March, I think is what you had said. So Ruth's holding him to it.
Okay, anything else? No one else. All right, I don't see any need to adjourn in anybody's memory, which I think is a great thing. So with that, we'll adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.